Good morning, everyone. This morning at 9:30 at the New Malka restaurant, we will be having our wisdom retreat with 4 great scholars. And let me tell you why it's so important to attend and study Torah. In this week's Torah portion, we have the greatest event that ever occurred in Jewish history. The 10 Commandments given at Mount Sinai by God Himself. But interestingly, the Torah portion is not called a portion of the 10 Commandments, but rather it's called a Torah portion of Yitro. Why? Because it begins with Vayishma Yisro. Jethro heard about all the wonders and the miracles that God performed for the Jewish people. And Jethro, the father-in-law of Moses, leaves Midian and goes to the desert to join his son-in-law and join the Jewish people in the experience of the Exodus from Egypt and the receiving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. And what the Torah is communicating to us is so powerful. And that is Almighty God Himself can come down to earth and speak the 10 Commandments. But God can give us the Torah. He could give us the guiding principles for life, the morals, the ethics. But we have to listen. We have to be receptive. We have to internalize these commandments and perform them and abide by them in order for the world to be a just, moral, righteous, kind, loving, compassionate place. And therefore, God is dependent on us listening and hearing the message of the 10 Commandments. And this could never be more clear than actually today. We saw yesterday the horrific scenes of 3 hostages returning after 490 days in captivity. And literally, it looked like Jews leaving the concentration camps in 2025. We saw them gaunt and pale, and barely able to walk and stand on their own 2 feet. And we say, how could such evil, such cruelty occur in our day and age, right before our very eyes? Didn't we learn anything from the Holocaust? How could human beings be so inhumane to treat fellow human beings like this? And the answer is, God can tell us, thou shalt not kill. God can tell us how to act, how to behave. But we have to listen, we have to receive. And if these Hamas terrorists turn a deaf ear to the basic tenets of morality and righteousness and goodness and show nothing but cruelty and evil, then God can speak and communicate, and it's all for naught. It's dependent on man receiving that message. And this is what we see the difference between the Israeli society and the Palestinian Hamas society. One is beaming and teeming with goodness and love and kindness and righteousness. Why? Because we follow in the ways of the 10 Commandments, which teaches us how to be righteous, good, compassionate human beings, bringing out the best of humanity. And then we see the lowest and the most depraved society. They share a border side by side, but worlds apart. One has achieved the greatest spiritual heights and accomplishment, and one has descended to the abyss of depravity and evil. The difference, one follows the commandments of God, the Israeli society, the Jewish nation, and one turns a deaf ear to God's moral instructions of the 10 Commandments and the most basic tenet of all, thou shalt not commit murder. But ultimately good triumphs and light banishes evil. And this evil will be obliterated and eliminated from the earth. And if we've ever been determined, now we're even more determined, because it takes us back to Nazi Germany. And just like Nazism and the German Reich, Third Reich, had to be eliminated from the face of the earth, so too everyone now sees right before their eyes modern day Nazis who starved innocent civilians, who were abducted and held hostage for 490 days, and tragically coming home. But unfortunately, many of their family members have been murdered by these same terrorists. But the Israeli society is a bastion of light, a model of morality and goodness and righteousness. Last week, when the 5 girls who were abducted from the Nachal Oz army base returned home to their families. They were in the hospital recovering, and a orchestra came to perform a concert for them. And they all came holding yellow chairs, symbolizing the hope for all the hostages to come home. And I saw beautiful images of the girls standing on the balcony of the hospital room, overlooking the lobby of the hospital, as these musicians performed a beautiful concert, serenading these girls with beautiful music. And what kind of songs? Love songs, songs that sing about peace and love, as the girls held their hands in the symbol of a love sign, emanating love and goodness. These are girls who suffered for 480 days in captivity, experienced the worst evil. And what are they? They'll never lose. They'll never lose their love. They'll never lose their kindness. That's the Jewish people. No matter what we endure, we always continue to be a kind and loving nation. We listen to the commandments of God, and that will ultimately be our victory, just like we have been victorious over every evil regime in history. So at 9:30, come study Torah at the Malka restaurant. Listen, hear the words of God, because when God's speaking, the most important thing to do is make sure that we are listening. Have a wonderful day.